Hello, everybody. And scene. Okay. Good morning. How is everybody? That's a rhetorical question because none of you guys can answer me. I gotta get my sweatshirt in order. Okay, it's cold up here. And we are about to venture off into the land of some fun, I guess. That's where we're going. Anyway, today is a story time, a special day. It's also a special day. Not only is it my mommy's birthday today, which is very special, it is the day that I purchased this car 3 years ago. Yep. And that was a story in itself. Some of you guys may not notice or know this, but hold on a second. Hold, please. Oh, cold start. Oh, man. Okay, so it's alive. It's alive. My puppy's mad. She's at the window. Okay. She's mad because I'm leaving to go surf. Yeah, and sweatshirt. I know. Okay, so the story goes. Some of you guys may not know this. Well, this thing is cold. First gear. It's all right. Okay, so the story is, and I'm wearing these because you guys can hear me. The mic's right here. If I don't have this on, you guys can't hear anything. The story is, I was looking for. Well, let me back up. Okay, so I had a 57 like this a long time ago, like 18 years ago. A 150, and it was an old drag car. Before rat rods and stuff were cool, and it had a lot of patina, but I got it because it still had the hot motor in it. And it just looked like, I just like old 57s, and it was cheap. That was the main reason. I couldn't afford an expensive car, so that was the cheapest 57 I could find, and it ran good, and it was a nice car. Had the remains of the cage still all over the inside of the car. Had plates in the floor, and they had like taken a torch, and whatever the height the torch tip was, that's how much of the cage was left. Just little round things. Had seats just like this in it, and no interior, and it was really loud. No headliner, no nothing. And they had the exhaust was headers that they had run under the chassis, and then they had taken old drive shaft torque tubes and cut them off right in front of the rear end. That was the length of the collector that they figured out worked best with that little 283. That was solid lifter and 1101. It was pretty gnarly little motor. I mean, for a 283, it sounded a lot nastier than it really was, but it was a really fun car, and I loved it. I always regret selling it. The guy I sold it to turned it into a pro touring car, ruined it. You could still make out, when I had it, you could still make out the name on the side of the car and all that stuff, but it was all like, it was surface rusted pretty bad and faded, so that was a shame to me, and I always regretted it. That's probably the only car I ever really regretted selling was that car. So fast forward all these years, I've been looking for another 57. I always wanted another 150, but I would have settled for a hardtop, and so I, like most of you guys, I'm sure, every day I crawl all over the classifieds, like Craigslist and Marketplace and man, anything I can find. YouTube, or not YouTube, but eBay, and I mean everything. Anything I can find. Any car ad, Hemmings, Hot Rod Hotline online, all that stuff. Just Google 57 Chevy for sale. And I was, I dream about buying a car on Craigslist or something, flying over to that state, getting it running, and then coming back. I didn't care if it had giant rust holes in it, as long as it was something I could afford. It'd be okay. And I didn't have any money. That was the main thing. And then one day, I did this for years. Then one day, some good friends of my parents, they offered me this little BMW Z3. They were going to take it down and donate it, or want to know, I needed a vehicle, I didn't have one, so they gave it to me instead, and I couldn't fit in it. It was too small for me, and I'm not really a BMW guy, so I sold it. I didn't get much for it, but the guy I sold it to had always wanted one of those, like had dreamed, that was his dream car, so I was really happy to sell it to him. and I got $3,000 for it. And then my wife loaned me some money, and I had saved up a few dollars, doing side jobs and stuff and working, and I had about maybe 6,000 that I could spend. That includes shipping, getting a car over here. So I was cruising Craigslist, and when I had the money, I decided I would actually make a call. I never called any ads or anybody, because I'm not that guy to call and like ask for pictures or whatever, or talk about the car when I didn't have any money. I want to waste their time, and I don't want my time wasted if I'm selling something. So what I did was I would screenshot. You guys do that on your phone? Take a screenshot of the ad that has the phone number. And this is back before Craigslist used to mess up people's ads. And if you didn't live in that region, they wouldn't give you the phone number, because they were trying to deal with out-of-state scams or something. But anyway, I screenshot a bunch of ads, and I screenshotted an ad for this car. And it was several years prior when it was sold last, and I saw it. It disappeared off Craigslist, and then I screenshot an ad for a hardtop in California that had been like punched in the nose. It had like centered, head on like a power pole or something in the 60s, and it had like a little hot small block in it and a 4-speed, and it was a stock hardtop. And the guy had parts I was hoping. When I talked to him later, he did. So I went through the ads, called the guy on this car first, because this is the car I wanted. And the guy's like, nope, sorry, bro. It's sold. I sold it a few years ago. I don't know where it is now. Sorry, man, sorry. And I'd been chasing this car. I'd been watching it and watching all the ads and watching this car get parted out and stripped. It was ugly, but getting stripped and parted out for probably 8 or 9 years. I watched it on Craigslist come up, and then it would change owners, and then change like condition. It gets slowly stripped out, but and the price was going down, which was making me happy, because I had hoped someday it would come into my price range. And I ended up calling this guy first. He said no. So then I called the guy in California, and I said, by chance, do you still have that hardtop that was punched in the nose? And he said, the green one? And I said, yep. And he said, yeah, I have it. How much did I want for it back then? And the ad was like several years old. And I said, I think like 5,000. He said, all right, we do like 4,500. It's still sitting here. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. I said, do you have a title? He said, no, it'll take me a few months to get one. I said, that's fine. I'm not in a hurry. I was excited to be able to have a 57. He said, hey, if you want, he said, I have all the parts for it. I have a hood, the grill, core support, whatever it might need, I have it. And you can just put it on over here. And I told him my idea, and he's like, yeah, man, come on over. Put the car together, you could use my tools and whatever, and drive it to the port. So I was like, oh, really stoked. This is going to be fun. I didn't have a YouTube video at the time, or a channel at the time, and I was like, all right, this would be a good time. I just wanted to do it. I was going to call my buddy Cameron. We were going to hop over, going to fly in, and he and I were going to drive like his service truck over or something, and some tools, and maybe a trailer if we needed it. But that was the plan. And, of course, hung up the phone with him, and I was excited, and I was on my computer anyway, and I just happened to click over, let's check on Hawaii one last time, see if there's any 57s. And this thing popped up. Yep. Different part of the island. What was weird was the pictures were from the ad that I had taken a screenshot of several years ago. Yeah. So the guy just reposted, whoever owned it, whoever I bought it from, just reposted the ad that this other guy got. Exact same ad, like screenshot, everything, same pictures, same exact location, everything. So he must have done the same thing as me. He must have saved all the pictures and then reposted the ad. Look at it, there's a sun behind me. How about that? So I called this new number up. Local guy on the Big Island. This time it's in Pahoa, and it was in Kona side, so now it's on the Hilo side in Pahoa, which is right by the ocean. And I called the guy. He was super cool, and he's like, yeah, man, come on over and check it out. So that was like, would have been yesterday. So I called my mom, and I was like, hey, check this out. And she's like, yeah, go check the car out. Go do it on your birthday. My wife was all stoked. My parents were happy. So I flew over on December 6th, and the flight was weird. It was like delayed, super delayed. I didn't know where I was going. By the time I got over there, I only had like enough time to drive to Pahoa, spend maybe 45 minutes looking at the car, and then get back to the airport and then fly home in time for me to do my round trip flight. But yeah, so I did it. I flew over there, met the guy. It was super cool. Saw the car. He gave me the title. I paid him $4,700 for it, and he was really stoked. And he was going to throw in a bunch of extra parts. He had like another Muncie Trans or something, and he had a few other pieces. The car wasn't together. It was loosely together, but like the glass was inside of it. There was parts missing all over the place, and most of them were inside. A lot of them were in the trunk. A lot of the interior stuff, the trim, was all in the trunk. A few other things. I can't remember everything we had dealt on, and so it was all included. And he said he had a buddy at the port that could help me get it shipped, and so I gave him an extra. I gave him $5,500 total because it was about $750 anyway to ship it. And I was like, here, this is what it costs to ship it. If you got a buddy that can help you get it done faster than that, then you get a little extra money for Merry Christmas. That'd be cool for your kids. And he was like, oh man, I'm super excited. It was tight that time of year, and so it took, fast forward, it took 10 weeks, which is normally like 2 or 3 days after it goes to the port. Like the next day it's probably over here, because it just comes on a barge. It took 10 weeks. I had to get another friend of mine with a towing company involved, and they had to get a second towing company involved. And yeah, I didn't get this car till February, I think. Yeah, February. I ended up paying to ship it 3 times, which I didn't have the money for that. It was really, really tight. Like it was hard, but you know, I just kept at it. But I got the car, and then the very first video when I made this channel is the day that I got the car home. But that's how cool my friend was that owned the car, the towing yard. By the time I got home from work, they had taken it from the port and stuck it in my carport. And where you guys see it is where they had put it. How about that? You guys are super cool. So thanks, Pete, if you're watching, stuff like that. I appreciate everything you went through. And today's my mommy's birthday. They're over here, and I'm going to go surfing, and I'm going to go visit them and hang out with them. Then they're going to come over to my house, and we're going to polish the lenses on my wife's 4Runner. I might make a video about how you do that with that kit. It'd be pretty cool. Oh, and another person contacted me and wanted me to do some like I did the welder reviews. They want me to do reviews on some LED lights, headlights or whatnot. So, or bulbs, or I don't know if they have them for this, but we'll see. I think that'd be fun. I might do that. And then, of course, you guys can get some cheap bulbs. Everybody needs better lights than their hot rod. That's how I view it. At night, you got to have good lights. Anyway, you guys have fun. It's been 13 minutes of a good time. All right. Aloha. Hello, everybody. I'm making this video. I'm editing this thing here. And what I realized was I didn't finish telling you the story about what happened in that other 57. So what went on was I got this car, but I'm not the type of guy to like tell someone I'm going to do something and not do it. So I contacted the guy from California and I said, hey, you're not going to believe this, but that other 57 post that I was talking to you, because I told him about what I was doing. I told him about the car. I told him about how I wanted his car. I told him the whole thing. I said, you're not going to believe this, but this other car popped up that I was looking at that I actually called on before on yours. And he's like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. He said, so you're going to get that one instead? And I said, yeah. I just, I had to deal with you, so like I didn't really want to like mess that whole thing up. And he was like, oh, no problem, man, no problem. This car will always be here. He's like, you might want a hard top later. Like, what a cool guy, right? So that's what's going on. I didn't finish that, but so you guys know that's what happened to the story. The guy was super cool. The car's probably still there in California somewhere. No, I'm not telling you where it is because I do want a hard top, but I'm never going to get one. I can't, I'm not even finishing this one. There is some other stuff that came up with this car, and it's going to be down for a little while. I'll have to explain it to you later when I get it all figured out, but nutshell is I'm ordering a whole new rear end housing because I didn't narrow this rear end myself. I'm having trouble looking at the camera over here, over there. Are you guys over here? I keep looking over here at this screen. Squirrel. So what's going on is this housing was a narrowed 9-inch that somebody did a long time ago when it was on the Big Island. And I was having trouble making the passenger side axle seal up. It would actually not seal, it would leak all the time. It still is. And what I had seen was in the top of the housing where the bearing goes in, and then on the inside of the housing towards the back of it on the top, it was worn out like someone had taken it like a drum sander and sanded it. And what had happened was it had lost a bearing. The axle had come out of the carrier and the rear end had dropped on it and rode, and the axle itself had hogged out the housing. And so it has a hard time sealing and a hard time holding a bearing in there. The bearing will go in there, but I think it goes in slightly cockeyed, and it has eaten 5 bearings on that passenger side, that housing has. And so it's doing it again. I've got some grinding, scraping noises. It's all done. I'm over it. So I'm going to order another housing, a complete one built. My dad helped me pull the wheels off today. My mom and I drove home today in it, and it was like, it's bad. It's bad. I've let it go long enough. I just swapped them out last time. We swapped the M22 out. So we put the M22 in and pulled 5-speed out. My dad and I did the bearings, and that's how long it's been since it's had new bearing. It just took this long to start eating it. Yesterday it started eating it. So I'm done with these axles. It's a 28 spline axle anyway in that car, and I want like a 31. So I'm gonna order a different one, but that means the center section I have won't fit. But I contacted the guy who built the rear end, the center section for me, and he's like, "Hey man, that's no sweat. Send the differential back to me, and I'll just, make it 31 spline, no problem." Well, he and I will deal with the shipping issue above it, but he's like, "It won't cost you anything." He goes, "I got parts, no problem. I'll switch it out to 31 spline." Like, are you kidding me? Like, nobody's that does that kind of customer service anymore. You know what I mean? Nobody takes care of people like that anymore. I do, and maybe a few other people do, but that's not the norm. I mean, it used to be. And old Frank at Quick Change Exchange, he's like, he's 83 years old or 82 years old. He's been doing this for 65 years. So he knows a thing or two about customer service, obviously, or wouldn't be in business. So if you guys want an awesome aluminum, I haven't even showed you guys pictures of this aluminum. So it's this aluminum big bearing, cross-bolted aluminum center differential, big aluminum thing with 6 helical gears on it, and it's awesome. You may have seen it in some videos. I may have showed a picture of it. Maybe I told you about it, but it cost me $146 less to get it built and 2-day air shipped to me versus rebuilding one of my old stock war cases, which is not nodular, junk old steel case, and buying a new carrier, bearings, ring and pinion, and all that stuff, and doing it myself. It was going to be 104 with shipping and everything out to Hawaii. It was cheaper just to have Frank build me a brand new big high zoot, 2,000 horsepower capable, differential, which is what he did. He built it for me, and he says he's got thousands of those things out there, and he's got many in like 2,000 horsepower drag cars. So the guy knows a thing or two. So if you guys want the setup, contact me, and I'll get you his information. I'll even give you his cell phone number if you really want one, and you can call him and talk to him, and you'll see for yourself that he'll get you a good differential. Because man, that's the thing about guys like that in this industry and our hobby. When those old dinosaurs die, all the knowledge goes with them. You know what I mean? So, man, that'll be, if you can get something his hands are on, the little bit of that gets passed down. You know what I'm saying? And so we just need to do that. We need to support each other. So I'm gonna get back to editing, put this thing back out here, and hope you guys enjoy it. And then my next video will be about my dad and I did the headlights on my wife's 4Runner. Yeah, we cleaned them up, and you guys will see it. And I'll go through the whole thing of how it worked and a process, and you guys can see how long it actually took, and see for yourselves how to do your plastic headlights the right way. I'll see you guys later. Aloha again.